boom goes the dynamite.
Welcome back to another edition of the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show. This is the Daily Dive. I'm your host, Michael Carvelis. On today's show, we'll be talking about the MVP of the National Lacrosse League. We'll talk to John Gurtler, the radio voice of the Buffalo Bandits. And we'll open a MetaVarsity NLL fantasy card pack. To everyone on the East Coast, good morning. To everyone on the West Coast, good morning. To everyone on the East Coast, good afternoon. It's time for lunch lacrosse. I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with you guys, okay? I had to get into it because he's already got me tongue-tied this morning. Christian Del Bianco wins the National Lacrosse League Most Valuable Player. And as I tweeted out, Christian Del Bianco won the battle. I will win the war. He's obviously a great player, had a great season. I felt like it was Dane Smith. I've had my rounds on social media. But shout out to Christian Del Bianco for winning the award and shutting me up for just a 30-minute episode of Daily Dive. He's been awesome on Twitter. The fact that he tweeted at me was pretty cool, and the fact that we've gone back and forth respectfully is something I could only dream of, especially in season 1 of Daily Dive, but it happened, and he has helped grow this show more than I could have imagined in the last few weeks. Shout out to the MVP of the league. And again, while I do not agree with it on this show, it is the reality of the situation. And I have to give my congratulations and my hats off to Christian Del Bianco. Also, the future is blinding. It's so bright. The all-rookie team was also announced. Brett Dobson, Jonathan Donville, Jack Hanna, etc., the young bright stars of the NLL. All first and second league teams were announced as well, so shout out to those guys as well. Awesome season, and of course the championship game 1 is tomorrow night, which I'll make a pick in the final segment. But when I come back, we're going to talk to the radio voice of the Buffalo Bandits. You might have seen him on ESPN Plus as well. John Gurtler is on the show next. Don't go anywhere. We got much to talk about with him. We're right back. Daily Dive. You may have heard him before on your radio, and now you can see him on this show. It's John Gurtler Jr. of the Buffalo Bandits radio squad and, of course, other things. John, thanks so much for coming back on this show.
Thanks, Mike. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah. And Adam had the same thing yesterday, so thank you so much. We can hear you perfectly fine this time. No issues over here. This is great.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So, John, I have to get your thoughts, first of all, on the awards that were just announced. Of course, Dane Smith falls short in the MVP voting. Christian Del Bianco gets it. What is your thoughts on that award since it was just announced?
Well, certainly, Mike, close to home, I would like to see Dane Smith continue on with his MVP status as he has, adjusted in 2016 and then last year Congratulations to Christian and also all of the other players in the NLL. The game itself is changing so dramatically, so athletically, so exciting that you have to recognize players like Christian and the rest of the group around. However, I do think that it should have been Dane Smith just for his phenomenal season that he had and continues to have.
Agreed. Like I said, we can go back and forth on that, but I agree with what you said. That makes two of us now. It was actually a pretty close vote. I just saw the voting points, and I was surprised that all three guys got a lot of praise. And you had a vote, correct?
Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Of course, I'm sure you voted for Dane Smith, but hey, great job for you. Of course, been calling him all year. Can't be too bad. Let's get into this Bandits team. Of course, it's been a while since we talked, but let's just jump right into the playoffs. Number 1 seed, dispatch the Rochester Nighthawks. Let's get to that Toronto Rock series because really, do you think Tom Schreiber would have made a difference that much? Because those games were pretty big blowouts. How do you think Buffalo was able to do that? And do you think Tom Schreiber would have changed anything of those outcomes?
Well, I think he would have certainly narrowed the margin a little bit, but I think just the way the Buffalo defense and Matt Vince was playing and has geared up to the postseason, I don't think that he would have made that much of a difference, although he's such a great player. And again, a tribute to the U.S. stick, the guy that has developed into the box game and something that we here in the United States would like to see more of guys stepping up and playing the box game. He's a great player. There's no question about it. But I just think the way the Bandits played in that series was just, I've never seen a group like that go back-to-back in a matter of 21 and a half hours and play the level of lacrosse that they played in those 2 straight games.
Agreed. Just a little side point. Are you a fan of the back-to-back games like that in the playoffs?
I love back-to-back games.
Awesome.
I think they're great, and I think I would love to see more of them. However, it all depends on the scheduling and how things turn out. We are the lower rung of most of the buildings, so you have to fall prey to the scheduling. But travel in between because so many teams are connected here in the Northeast. It's easy to do. Now, granted, for the Western teams, it's a nightmare because of travel. So, personally, I'm a fan of back-to-back games. I like those styles. Our one back-to-back game that we had this year was Philadelphia and New York, and it was a nice, 3.5 hour, 4 hour bus ride, and we're right there. Love to see the back-to-back games, but it all depends on some of the players. But they're so used to it. For those that play summer box, I mean, gosh, they play anywhere from 2 to 3 games a week.
That's a fair point. I have to ask you this. Back to that series with the Rock, and we'll get to the finals. Is there any player or players that you think really stood out to you? Obviously, you have Dane, you have Josh, but which guys do you think really stood out to you as like, wow, this could help them in the finals and not just in this Rock series?
Steve Priolo.
Okay.
One of the players that I don't know, he just can't catch the bridesmaid ring in being named the Defensive Player of the Year. Left off the list this year, which was mind-boggling from a standpoint of Defensive Player of the Year. This guy has put in 13 years of service, all with the Buffalo Bandits, as the team captain. He leads not only on the field, but off the field as well. And he continues to combine with the other defensive players that the Bandits have of just turning in a stellar performance game after game after game. And, Chris Swinson, the PA voice of the Buffalo Bandits, a legend, calls him coast to coast Priolo because of sometimes his breakaway. And we've seen a couple of them here in just a not too distant past of him scoring the goals. But he was the one that rallied the defensive core together and the guys that were blocking shots. Now, realize this, that the Bandits in the playoffs right now have 25 blocked shots. Bryce Sweeting leads the league in blocked shots at 6. And if you go back and watch the games or, the 2 game series against Toronto, those guys were just soaking shots left and right. I mean, the stellar performance of Steve Priolo and the rest of the crew, combines together with Matt Spanger and Ethan O'Connor, who soaked a lot of shots. And I mean, the list goes on. Adam Bomberry and all the defensive guys. So they follow in the vapor trail of Steve Priolo. And again, I can't believe that he was left off for Defensive Player of the Year.
I'm glad you shed light on that because, again, I'm newer to this now that I've been doing it all year. And I'm glad that you were able to enlighten someone like me who may be more of a casual fan than anything right now. Because it does help, like, spread the narrative. Like, Steve Priolo is a beast. He's a monster. I recognize the name. I've seen him play. I believe he had, like, a fast break where, like, he was running kind of slow, but he finished it. I was like, this is great.
Well, how about the game-winning goal against San Diego? I mean, he single-handedly took the ball away from the offensive player in the Buffalo zone and made his way through center and down into the offensive zone and scored the goal, the game winner. And I did the same thing just not too long ago. I mean, it just leads the way. I'm not going to, lean on his offensive prowess, which he has. He's got a great shot. But defensively, there's no one better, and that he leads the defensive core. And Steve Dietrich will say this, not only for Buffalo, but for Colorado, two clubs defensively that don't get enough recognition and should, because they're just two fine units that'll be going head-to-head starting tomorrow night.
I'm glad nice segue. You're good at those, I'm sure. So what is your keys to the game? Like, if there was one major aspect of the game, whether it be transition, defense, goaltending, etc., what is your one area that you got to see the Buffalo Bandits really capitalize on?
Stopping Zed Williams, and then limiting the opportunity of Warren Jeffrey, who I thought played a stellar game against Calgary last week. And then Ryan Lee, who is coming into his own after his just terrible injury and trials and tribulations that he's had in order to get back to the level that he's got going right now. But, Zed is just an amazing player. And the Bandits, certainly have to keep a wide angle focus on 28 because of his scatter behind the net. And he makes that half curl around, and the kid has just got an incredible shot. And you saw one of the shots that he made from the top of the slot, or I guess what some of our announcers would say up front or out back or whatever they call it. But to me, that's at the top of the slot, and the kid just has a zinger.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love hearing your insight. And I also want to mention you saying Steve Priolo, they followed his vapor trail. That was a great line that it's got to be clipped up. I just want to mention that from before.
Let's get now, Mike. Nothing will take away from part of Colorado's offense. They are very good. Granted, Saturday night's game, as I had mentioned in fast break, it was like a tennis volley. You were going back and forth like this, and one team holding 26 minutes, and then the other 20 plus minutes, and back and forth. I mean, that's a perfect display of great defense, but also just the offensive way that the guys are able to work the ball. I mean, compliments to Colorado, the way they're able to work things in together. And, Connor Robinson, wow. I mean, that kid is a bull. And he, 2 years ago, or was it last year during the regular season, scored 5 against Buffalo while they were in Denver during the regular season. So kid's got a shot. I mean, this is going to be a really tough game with two legitimate contenders. And again, as I had mentioned, storybook endings for both of them, because both teams just decimated with injuries throughout the season, didn't have their full lineup. I mean, Colorado's used 30 players so far this year. And when they arrived in Buffalo for the March 18th game, everybody was wondering about what's wrong with Colorado, what's going on. I mean, they've got, sure, Joey Capito was out, but and Ryan Lee not there. But I thought they did a fabulous job with the way they were able to rebound and post the 13-8 victory over the Bandits. So it's a perfect example. And I thought at that time, that's when that team built the confidence, and they've got it going for the end of the season. Regardless, in my first year of the Bandits, the team finished 8-8 and went to the finals, lost to Calgary in 2004. But there again, Colorado 9-9 on the season. That's pretty phenomenal what they've been able to do. And we haven't talked about the wall yet, either.
The what?
The wall.
What Why is the wall?
Dylan Ward.
Oh, he's nuts. Because I have to ask you about that part. Like, combined with like last year's finals and then this year's regular season game, do you think is it Dylan Ward thing? Is it Mammoth are in their heads? I know you have your ears to the ground more than like other people do with the Bandits squad. How on earth does this team find a way to stop a Bandits team that can drop 20?
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Colorado to figure out what to do with Buffalo's offense. I mean, they're just like Red Bull Racing. When they pull that racing car and get ready for an F1 race, I mean, those cars are ready to go. And I feel the same way. Granted, it's been 2 weeks. Now, oil does build up a little bit on the engine, so you got to get it out and rev it up a lot. The guys in this game today, they are phenomenal at what they do in order to prepare their bodies for this series that's coming up, a Saturday, Monday afternoon series. And, the way that the club has performed, especially in the 2-game series against Toronto, just phenomenal. I mean, Dane Smith with his 16 points and Josh Byrne with 17 points. And then Chris Cloutier with his goals that he had scored. Gosh, what a bundle of goals that he got, including the 6 against Toronto. So you've got those guys, plus the other mix of Buffalo's offense, Dehoka Nanakok as well, and Chase Fraser, and they just keep coming from that standpoint. But let me return to the crease and say that, Matt Vince, who, didn't get the Goaltender of the Year award, but that's understandable. I mean, the guy's been phenomenal. And you saw what he did in the 2-game series against Toronto, stopping 85 of 98 shots, just phenomenal. And the guy just makes, just like Dylan Ward, making the right save at the right time. And Ward, those saves that he made nearing the end of the game last week were just amazing. And similar to Matt. I mean, Matt, it's going to be 41 here, in early June. And the guy is just a physical specimen. I mean, just his workout schedule would make you just shudder of what he does in order to keep himself into shape.
I have a question for you. I want you to leave us with, give Buffalo fans some hope here if you can. Do you believe, if you're a Bandits fan right now, I know you've got respect for the Mammoth.
Don't
Should
forget
you
I'm
feel
from Denver,
confident?
too.
Huh?
I grew up in Denver.
Oh, wow. Well, if you're a Bandits fan, should you feel confident in their ability to get this thing done? Or do you think we should really be like, wow, the Mammoth are really good?
No, not right now. I feel that this club is so well attuned to knowing what their job is going to be starting tomorrow night and Monday in order to take care of this series. Heartbreaking series loss to Colorado last year after Buffalo posting, again, a 14-4 record, the number 1 seed that they've captured 3 out of the 4 last seasons. The Bandits have a chip on their shoulder. They have something to prove. And I think what we've seen in the last 2 games, again, against Toronto, a great team, that this Buffalo Bandits team combined together with all the talent they have and the scoring prowess and the great goaltending in Matt Vince and the excellent defense. I mean, this is going to be one that the Buffalo fans just have to attach themselves to and go in with as much confidence as this club when they step out on that 200 by 85-foot surface and say, we're going to get this done this year. And if I could speak again for the words of Kyle Buchanan a couple of weeks ago, he said, I was in the room and I was talking to the guys and, this time, he said, it's all different this year. They went in with so much expectation last year and the great offensive games that they had last year by winning by huge margins. And, it was a thing of, it was art history. And this year, they have just a different feeling of a sense of confidence. They've got a good attitude for them and just the conviction that they put together in order to complete the games that they have. Now, remember this. The Bandits had to come back 11 of 18 times in order to win this year. They were behind in a game, so it took them 11 times to come back and post victories, what they did. And they still posted a 14-4 record without a lot of the players that were top caliber in terms of offense to do that. So it's a pretty phenomenal achievement that they've done. And, you know, Todd Buchanan said, yeah, and he's one of the crusty veterans. We got a chip on our shoulder and we're ready to go. We know exactly what to do.
You sold me. As a person who was kind of on the fence more than I should have been, you sold me, and hopefully Buffalo fans can feel the same confidence. John, anything you want to plug, like a radio episode coming up, or are we all good?
I appreciate that very much. I don't think we get enough love with respect to radio coverage. As you know, the medium itself is number one, specifically in sports. There's nothing better than listen to a sporting event on radio, and when you can't watch it, radio is there. For tomorrow night, you know, we always do a pregame show that lasts a half an hour. We're going to be talking with Pat Coyle, and also Connor Robinson is a part of our pregame show. John Tavares, the head coach, and we'll talk with Dane Smith as well. And then Dave Buchanan and Steve Bermel will be with me on the call. Bermel will do the color with me, and Dave Buchanan, as usual, doing his fine job down on the playing surface with updates. And then on Monday, the entire broadcast team will be traveling to Denver, and we'll start out with the pregame show beginning at 1:30 Mountain Standard Time. So that's 3:30 Eastern Time.
Right.
And we're going to talk with McBride from Colorado, and also Ryan Lee from Colorado. And we'll get a check-in with Steve Dietrich, and we'll also talk with Steve Priolo. Also, I mentioned the fact, too, that we're going to have Brett Frood on at halftime on Friday night for our radio broadcast, because he's coming to the game on Friday. So Brett will be with us at halftime. And then let's see what other guests we have. At halftime on Monday will be Scott Loeffler, the Senior Director of Lacrosse Operations and Alternative Governor for the Bandits. So action-packed, jam-full.
Yeah, the heavy hitters, man. Good Lord. Look at you.
Would that be paper or plastic?
Did you schedule all those yourself?
Yeah.
Holy cow. Hey, that's awesome. And also they're being hosted by John Gurtler, which is no big deal either, you know?
Yeah, we have very great time. So it'll be a lot of fun, and certainly appreciate the work, Mike, that you've been doing over the year on your daily dive. It's been great, and it's, you know, the more the merrier of talking lacrosse. And you know, it was great to see the TNT coverage in hockey last Saturday with Wayne Gretzky talking, and also having John Cooper on, a field player. You know, just talk about the game. Anybody from the outside that can expand the horizon of this great box, let me emphasize, box game.
We're feeling it. Thank you, man. And thank you again for your time. It's awesome for me. It's awesome for fans as well.
Great.
Thank you, John.
Enjoyed it, Mike.
Go Bandits.
Yeah.
I love this. I'll tell you, I'm eating some humble stuff over here when guys like John Gurtler and Adam Levy tell me about this show, and I cannot thank the listeners and, of course, the guests enough for that. When I come back, one more thing to do. We're opening some fantasy packs, at least one of them. We'll break down some more fantasy. We'll be right back. Daily Dive. Don't go anywhere. Dive here on YouTube, Twitter, all kind of social media. Go to Daily Dive Lax. Click the link tree in our bio to support the show as we hope to grow the game. So I wanted to read off the all-rookie team here before I get to my next part. We've got Jonathan Donville from Panther City, Brett Dobson, of course, Georgia Swarm goalie, Jack Hanna of the Desert Dogs. We've got John Piatelli of the Firewolves, Danny Logan of the Seals. There you go, Seals fans. And Jake Boudreau, my favorite, was the Saskatchewan Rush. Of course, we've had Donville and Dobson on the show, which is pretty awesome. First team All-League, of course, Del Bianco, Zach Currier, MVP Del Bianco, by the way. Let me get that out of the way. Latrell Harris, Dane Smith, Jeff Teat, Graham Hossick, no big deal. This is insane. This season, man, I cannot explain how awesome the growth of this show has been. It's, oh my gosh. I'm in shambles. Last brew presented by B-Riz Coffee, Company Code Daily Dive. Let's do something for the fans and, of course, myself. I was geeking out this morning as I got to open my packs of cards here. Let's do it. Let's open another one. First, I'm going to show the lineup here. Lineup, of course, you got 2 forwards, 2 defense transition, 1 flex, and 1 goalie. There's no, these right here is your bench. There's no goalie on the bench. And I want to say, MetaVarsity, we need a goalie on the bench. Maybe I'll put like in my extra flex spot. I don't know. But I love this lineup. I decided to pay $17 for Patrick Dodds, a crease diving Patrick Dodds. And of course, I'm the fool who spends my money before I know anything about how the game's going to work. So I'm assuming crease dive means something cool. Let's get to the marketplace, show you guys what's going on here. If you want a goalie, this is real money. How about $13 for an awesome version of Nickname Mood, it looks like. We got Brett Dobbs here for $10. I want that too, actually. But I didn't like the basic Brett Dobson. Although it is holographic. These cards are holographic. The black ones are not, I believe, is the way that works. If they got colors, they're even better per MetaVarsity on Instagram. Zach Higgins for $11. Doug Jameson for $64. There's a reason he's $64. And, of course, $27 for these 2 Doug Jamesons. Wow. In the store, you can buy these packs. I got one of these puppies for $20 or 2,000 points. So let's go to my portfolio and let's open a pack. I'm ready for this. I'm excited. I should not be this excited as a 26-year-old person who loves lacrosse but is also supposed to get grown up. What's we got? 60s puppies. Let's do this one first. Woohoo! Yes! I should not be this happy. A crease diving Ryan Keenan. Wasn't with me. This is like my 3rd or 4th Saskatchewan Rush player. Good Lord. Let's do this one next. Yes! Rochester Nighthawks crease diving forward. Jeff Wittig. I'm terrible with those names sometimes. Oh! The brother of Steve, I believe. Kevin Orleman of the Riptide. That's one of their goalies. That's cool. Calgary Roughnecks, one of their goalies, Adam Bland. Hey, Del Bianco, watch out, buddy. Oh, that's so terrible. Zach Goodrich, Albany Firewolves defender. That's awesome. Oh, wow. That's one of them colored Panther City ones. How about that? Cam Milligan. I'm loving this. I'm loving this. Let's see. Should I put any forwards in my lineup here? Cam Milligan, don't really know too much about him yet. Ryan Keenan could be a good one, though. Oh, I noticed their stats, so I just noticed this part. Games played, average fantasy points a game, points a game, and, of course, loose balls per game. Wow. Defenders, loose balls a game. Okay, I see you. Justin Martin, of course, good defender. Goalie, Adam Bland, Drew Hutchinson, Kevin Orleman. Not any starters yet, but hey, there you go. And again, $20 on the marketplace for one of these puppies. $50 for a mega bundle. And these are all first editions, by the way. Well, I cannot wait. Of course, you get your starter pack, which I did get. I need one of these puppies, these rewards packs. That's going to be fun. All right, that's enough. That's enough nerding out and geeking out on this show. Woo-wee. Somebody cool me off, man. It's hot in here. I'm kidding. All right, that's it for the show. Lord have mercy. Again, shout out to Rookie of the Year, Jonathan Donville, friend of the show, and of course, MVP, Christian Del Bianco, we are not worthy here on the Daily Dive. Congrats on officially being named NLL's most valuable player. And 25 years old, let me make sure I get that right. He told me on Twitter, I'm going to have to look it up anyways. Christian Del Bianco, I believe, is 25. Yeah. He was born on August 31st, so early kind of birthday. I don't know. Wow. This show amazes me and how fast it's growing. And this cannot be possible without you guys who watched it and shared on social media. Awesome guests like John Gurtler. Check out yesterday's finals preview with Adam Levy, who was awesome. Everyone behind the scenes, I am not worthy. Thank you for watching Daily Dive. Same time, same place, Monday. And of course, we'll recap Game 1 and preview Game 2. Daily Dive will be back next week. Enjoy your game. Enjoy your weekend. All across this weekend, by the way. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye.